Samantha Irvin announces that she's leaving WWE. Lillian Garcia is back, and Jey Uso loses the IC belt. Let's talk about it.
The Rock says, The Rock says.
All right, full disclaimer, this episode of Monday Night Raw sucked. I mean, there were a couple things in there that I kind of enjoyed, so I'm gonna try my best to keep a positive through line throughout this video, but just bear with me because I was really not entertained. But one of my favorite things from this show was the opening. Typically, they always do this opening where they're showing the crowd. They have the wrestlers actually walk into the arena, kind of like how they do with NBA games and NFL games, right? But this time they had Bronson Reed walking in, and they're talking about how he's having his issues with Seth Rollins. And out of nowhere, Seth just jumps him and starts beating the brakes off of him with his briefcase. So they're having a pull-apart brawl, and Seth goes to the ring and calls out Bronson. Bronson comes out, and they're just brawling the entire time. This was a continuous thing throughout the show, and I'm a fan of it. I actually like the fact that, again, I've said this before, Bronson is actually getting some notoriety with a big star. Seth is not doing his whole silly, flamboyant character. He's actually being serious, which I'm always a fan of. And that makes me feel like this match they're going to have is going to be that much more entertaining when Seth is really being serious and he's locked in. So throughout the show, they fight backstage. After 3 backstage segments, Pierce finally pulls them apart and says, okay, this is what you wanted. You wanted your match at Crown Jewel. We're going to give it to you. Only problem that I have with that is Crown Jewel is always painted by the fans as a glorified house show. It doesn't really matter. There's no real circumstantial changes in storylines or anything like that that really actually matter. The matches sometimes are pretty decent, but if the storylines don't matter, then why do we really care? And I feel like this feud needs more of a blow-off than just Crown Jewel. So hopefully this will be a match, and maybe it'll be a no contest. Maybe it'll be a disqualification because Seth can't control himself, or who knows how they'll call that. But I think they should definitely have their match at Crown Jewel. Let that be the first one, and maybe they can blow the series off at Survivor Series, and then maybe meet each other again at the Royal Rumble. Again, I'm a fan of what they're doing. I'm a fan of the idea that Seth is throwing all of his offense at Bronson, but Bronson is so big and so strong that it's not really it affects him, but it doesn't affect him. And so I'm interested to see how that dynamic clashes on a much bigger stage, like maybe a Survivor Series. Next up, we got the New Day taking on the Authors of Pain for the World Tag Team Championship tournament. So they're furthering the breakup of the New Day. Hate it. And for whatever reason, so you have AOP, and for whatever reason, they keep putting the Final Testament in situations where they just have to take losses. You know, as important as loved as Karrion Kross was by Triple H, I would think he would be, I mean, granted, he's featured, right? And at the end of the day, TV time is TV time. But I would think that he would have more of an impact on television than what he really does right now. Again, Final Testament is always being put in losing situations. The highlight of their faction has probably been when they had their WrestleMania match. But aside from that, they just keep taking L's. And this was no different, really. I mean, Miz comes out and he's just sitting there watching it. He's a heel now, so he's siding himself with the Final Testament. I guess we're building up to that moment. But then comes out and he jumps to Miz and kind of helps the New Day win off of a distraction. Kofi rolls up. I don't know if it's Akam or Razor. I don't know. Bear with me. And 1, 2, 3, New Day wins. After the match is the interesting part. New Day are going back up the ramp. Final Testament are left alone in the ring with R-Truth. They begin to jump R-Truth, beating them. And Kofi is trying to get his way back to the ring, but Xavier Woods is holding him back again, saying this isn't our problem. He knew what it was when he got involved. This is his fight. Blase, blase, blase. Lights go off. And the Wyatt Six comes out. Now, I said before that Wyatt Six would probably be going after the Judgment Day, but considering we did see the graphic with Final Testament when I think Karrion was talking to The Miz, that kind of set that up and we kind of knew what was coming. And that's what we had. There was a beatdown brawl of Dexter Lumis, Rowan, and Joe Gacy taking out Karrion and the Authors of Pain. And then back in the ring, we got The Miz and Paul Ellering, and appears his Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy goes for a mandible claw on The Miz, but for whatever reason, Paul Ellering pushes Miz out of the way and takes the attack himself. I don't see a purpose in this. Rumor has it that this is going to be a way to write off Paul for the remainder of the time of this faction, because they don't really need another manager, and it's not like he's really been doing much of a mouthpiece for that group. So what does this mean for the whole breakup of the New Day? I hate this because they're breaking up one of the most beloved tag teams of all time, well, groups of all time, minus Big E. But I feel like when they actually do have their blow-off match, unless it's set up by a huge beatdown angle, like Xavier's really going to have to hurt Kofi, I feel like their match isn't going to have the heat that it needs. This is a match I can see being having its blow-off at a crown jewel, and then we just kind of never speak of it again, really. We just kind of go on having an Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston solo run. But do we really need a Kofi Kingston solo run? I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see what Xavier can do, because we never really got to see him at this level do that, aside from the whole King of the Ring thing. But do we really want? Would you rather see Xavier Woods go after, let's say, the Intercontinental Championship as a heel by himself, or retire as New Day member? Let me know in the comments. So next up, we have a backstage segment. The Judgment Day are kind of just going around in a circle talking about what they are trying to do. Finn is talking about he's not really worried about the tag team championship tournament. His focus is Damian Priest. I don't know why. And getting him off of this whole World Heavyweight Championship thing that he's on. Raquel and Liv have a issue with Damage Control, and apparently some sort of problem with Jakara Jackson. I got her name wrong last time. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, which I'm assuming they just NXT call-ups at this point, because they're on every show now. So we have the match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, or Gonzalez, I don't know what her name is right now, and Damage Control of Io Sky and Kairi Sane. This match, Liv Morgan has to be the worst looking women's champion since Nikki ASH. What has aside from the whole storyline beats and the entertainment value that she has with Dom, what has she done? She beat Zelina Vega. She cheated to beat Rhea. What has she done? And I know I'm always harping on Liv and her title reign, but it sucks. Even in this match, she was bumping around for the Sky Pirates, for Damage Control, and she really got no offense. You're the women's world champion. You look like the chump in a match where, from a size perspective, you have the advantage. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure how many beats this storyline has. I don't know why are we still doing Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan? It doesn't really need Raquel, because nobody really cares. And Raquel and Rhea proves that by coming out and just beating the brakes off of both of them. She beat down Raquel. She beat down Liv. Dom tried to get involved. She beat down Dom. So why do we have a storyline? What is this for? Just give her the belt. Liv's title reign. Okay, y'all got what y'all wanted. Liv's title reign happened. It's irrelevant. Why do we still have this? Let's see what else happened. LWO beat American Made. I don't know why this whole LWO thing is still a thing. And you know what? Let's go ahead and jump directly into the main event. Jey Uso taking on Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. All right, so I'm gonna talk about the match and then give my thoughts about all the storyline beats that happened within after. So the match was actually pretty good. The way they structured it out, it felt like a main event match. It felt like it really mattered, and that's a great thing. The Bloodline come down, they kind of get involved, and they have all these things happen outside the ring. I don't understand how the referee didn't see any of this, but whatever. And ultimately, Braun Breaker takes back the Intercontinental Championship after turning face and giving respect to Jey, and then coming back, and his defense is, I gave you respect and then you threw it back in my face, when Jey shook his hand and had the crowd do his chant for him. So I don't know what disrespect he's talking about. This feels very, very forced, because rumor has it that we're getting a Goldberg return to go after Gunther. Please, Triple H, don't do this. Please, if you care about your wrestlers, do not bring do not bring Goldberg back into the fray, especially when you have a fresh Braun Breaker sitting right here who is better than Goldberg. Yes, I said it. Clip that up. Better than Goldberg. Why do we need Goldberg? And so you got Braun Breaker turning heel again, taking on Jey Uso, gets the belt back. For what, I don't know, because now what do you do with Braun? Like, who are you gonna have set up to take on Braun? Kofi? I mean, who's Jey was the one that made it feel main event, no pun intended. Like the crowd was so into him, and now I kind of feel, unless you're gonna set up for a returning Ilya Dragunov, I don't really see the point in putting the belt back onto Braun. I like Braun, but I don't know what you do with him now that he's a heel again, and we're kind of limited on credible baby faces at the moment. At least I feel like. So let's talk about the whole Bloodline thing, right? So the Bloodline comes down. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. They pretend like they bought tickets and they're sitting in the front row. And Jey rolls out of the ring. He's like, "Well, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here." And Solo was saying, "Hey, I'm here to help you. I want to make sure that you win and you retain your belt." So it seems as though we're having a bidding war for Jey Uso's loyalty. And the interesting thing is, Jey Uso this whole time was saying he has nothing to do with his family. It's just me. I'm not worried about it. So why did he show up to SmackDown to say, I just want the family back together? If you removed yourself from the Bloodline, which eternally means you removed yourself from the family, at least on TV wise anyway, why do you care what's going on a totally different show? So I blame you for this. But to be honest, I'm not really mad at the fact that Jey is no longer champion. And the reason being is because I don't like when they have championships in storylines that have nothing to do with the storyline. The Intercontinental Championship had nothing to do with the Bloodline. The Tag Team Championships had nothing to do with the Bloodline. So hopefully the Tongans lose those championships to whoever wins the SmackDown side of their tag team tournament. This feud doesn't need championships unless you're going to do maybe the Usos versus God, and they both have the tag team championships, and then you can unify them again, which I don't know if we really need a unified tag team championship again, because we had it for almost 4 years. So I don't necessarily think that that's the route to go. But Jey brought this upon himself. Solo was not bothering Jey whatsoever. It wasn't until Jimmy brought him up and he went to go hunt for Jey to get him to sign back up with the Bloodline and help them out. This was never really needed. Jey would still be champion. And so in a way, his infatuation with his family comes up and it hurts him again. So moving forward, what does this mean? Obviously, Jey now has motivation to go after Solo and Jacob for costing him the championship, but is that enough to go into War Games? I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like this kind of is being sped up just a little bit. I mean, granted, like I said, you have motivation now. You have motivation for Jay to go after him. But I don't know. Is that enough to forgive Roman and Roman and Jimmy for what they've put Jay through? Because you can always just go get another match against Braun and get your title back, hopefully. And maybe, have a match with Jacob because he's the one that attacked you. But Solo pushed Jay out of the way and took a spear. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this route to get Jay back into the fray. We'll see how it plays out on SmackDown because they're just jumping from show to show at this point. So we're going to see how that works out. And how would you guys book it? How would you guys have been doing great by giving me your ideas in the comments. So let me know how you would book the continuation of Jay joining back up with the Bloodline and making it make sense to where Jay actually has something. It justifies it enough for Jay to forgive Roman and Jimmy and fight alongside them. How would you guys book it? Last but not least, I just want to give huge thank you to Samantha Irvin and ask her to please come back. Selfishly, we need you. I feel like wrestling was way more entertaining with your calls. No one is going to be able to do Roman Reigns' entrance like you do. No one's going to be able to do Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare. No one's going to be able to do that the way that you do. You invented a way of saying Chelsea Green's name that now Alicia Taylor has to do the exact same thing, and she just can't do it over on SmackDown. So please, with whipped cream and cherries on top, please come back. We don't want Lillian. I'm speaking for myself. We don't want Lillian. Lillian, I respect you. You were the voice of the Attitude Era, and I'm so thankful for you. But I feel like you don't be knowing where you be at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you just be off in a whole nother world. Like, what is a #1 containers tag team? She didn't even know you were prepped for this. They didn't just throw you out. You a Hall of Famer? I think she's a Hall of Famer. Anyway, you a legend. How do you still make all these mistakes? How are you still this nervous? And if this was anybody else's first day, I'd be like, nervous jitters, let it cook. You know what I mean? This Lillian Garcia, the voice of the Attitude Era. She was the ring announcer for the entire Attitude Era, had backstage segments with The Rock. You know what you're doing, ma'am. This is your home. This is what gave you your start. So how are you botching this much? You announcing Dominic Mysterio coming to the ring, and you pretty much set up the Dominic Mysterio run-in by saying coming to the ring by Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio was not there. And Wade Barrett even says, we can't see Dom yet. So there may have been a mistake there. And then she calls the #1 contenders tag team tournament match a #1 containers tag team, pause for dramatic effect, tournament. Like, Samantha, baby, come back. And that is it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, let me know in the comments how you would book the Jey Uso return to the Bloodline, as well as the New Day breakup. How would you guys further that storyline to make sure that it actually has legs and it can build to something that's going to be pretty iconic? I hate when tag teams break up, they have a match and it just doesn't mean anything. Both teams both members just kind of go away in their singles run or lackluster. I really want to see what Xavier can do. If they're going to go full-fledged with the heel turn, what can he do? So let me know how you guys will book it. Again, make sure you like and subscribe. You guys have been blowing up the channel. I think we hit like 75 or 80 new subscribers in a few days. You guys have blown up the analytics on all of my videos. Thank you guys so much for your support. I'm so glad you're enjoying the content. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments, and I'll see y'all down the road. And as always, be safe, be blessed, be kind. Peace.
The Rock says